Okay, Lillian Marshall, I'm going to read Harry Potter to you. But this was a downright lie. Harry liked Hermione very much, but she just wasn't the same as Ron. There was much less laughter and a lot more hanging around in the library when Hermione was your best friend. Harry still hadn't mastered summoning charms. He seemed to have developed something of a block about them, and Hermione insisted that the learning theory that might help. They consequently spent a lot of time poring over books during their lunchtimes. Victor Crumb was in the library an awful lot too, and Harry wondered what he was up to. Was he studying? Or was he looking for things to help him through the first task? Hermione often complained about Crumb being there. Not that he ever bothered them, but because groups of giggling girls often turned up to spy on him from behind bookshelves, and Hermione found the noise distracting. He's not even good looking, she muttered angrily, glaring at Trump's sharp profile. They only like him because he's famous. They wouldn't look twice at him if he couldn't do that wonky feint thing. Wronski feint, said Harry, through gritted teeth. Quite apart from liking to get Quidditch terms correct, it caused him another pang to imagine Ron's expression if he would have heard Hermione talking about wonky feints. It's a strange thing, but when you are dreading something and would give anything to slow down time, it has a disobliging habit of speeding up. The days until the first task seemed to slip by as though someone had fixed the clocks to work double speed. Harry's feeling of barely controlled panic was with him wherever he went, as ever present as the snide comments about the Daily Prophet article. On the Saturday before the first task, all students in the third year and above were permitted to go to the village of Hogsmeade. Hermione told Harry that it would do him a bit of good to get away from the castle, and Harry didn't need much persuasion. What about Ron, though? He said. Don't you want to go with him? Oh, well, Hermione went slightly pink. I thought we might meet up with him in the three broomsticks. Oh, Harry, this is so stupid. I'll come, but I'm not meeting Ron, and I'm wearing my invisibility cloak. Oh, all right then, Hermione snapped. But I hate talking to you in that cloak. I never know if I'm looking at you or not. So Harry put on his invisibility cloak in the dormitory, went back downstairs, and together he and Hermione set off for Hogsmeade. Harry felt wonderfully free under the cloak. He watched other students walking past them as they entered the village, most of them sporting Support Cedric Diggory badges, but no horrible remarks came his way for a change, and nobody was quoting that stupid article. People keep looking at me now, said Hermione grumpily, as they came out of Honeyduke's sweet shop later, eating large cream-filled chocolates. They think I'm talking to myself. Don't move your lips so much, then. Come on, please take off your cloak for a bit. Nobody's going to bother you here. Oh, yeah, said Harry. Look behind you. Rita Skeeter and her photographer friend had just emerged from the Three Broomsticks pub. Talking in low voices, they passed right by Hermione without looking at her. Harry backed to the wall of Honeydukes to stop Rita Skeeter from hitting him with her crocodile skin handbag. When they were gone, Harry said, She's staying in the village. I bet she's coming to watch the first task. As he said it, his stomach flooded with a wave of molten panic. He didn't mention this. He and Hermione hadn't discussed what was coming in the first task much. He had the feeling she didn't want to think about it. She's gone, said Hermione, looking right through Harry toward the end of the street. Why don't we go and have a butterbeer in the Three Broomsticks? It's a bit cold, isn't it? You don't have to talk to Ron, she added irritably, correctly interpreting the silence. The Three Broomsticks was packed, mainly with Hogwarts students enjoying their free afternoon, but also with a variety of magical people Harry rarely saw anywhere else. Harry supposed that as Hogsmeade was the only all-wizard village in Britain, it was a bit of a haven for creatures like hags, who were not as adept as wizards at disguising themselves. It was very hard to move through the crowds in the invisibility cloak, in case you accidentally trod on someone, which tended to lead to awkward questions. Harry edged slowly toward a square table in the corner where Hermione went to buy drinks. On his way through the pub, Harry spotted Ron, who was sitting with Fred, George, and Lee Jordan. Resisting the urge to give Ron a good hard poke in the back of the head, he finally reached the table and sat down at it. Hermione joined him in a moment later and slipped him a butterbeer under the cloak. I look like such an idiot, sitting here on my own, she muttered. Luckily, I brought something to do. As she pulled out a notebook in which she had been keeping a record of SPEW members. Harry saw his and Ron's names at the top of the very short list. It seemed a long time ago that they had sat making up those predictions together, and Hermione had turned up and appointed them secretary and treasurer. You know, maybe I should try to get some of the villagers involved in SPEW, Hermione said thoughtfully, looking around the pub. Yeah, right, said Harry. He took a swig of butterbeer under his cloak. Hermione, when are you going to give up on this SPEW stuff? When house elves have decent wages and working conditions, she hissed back. You know, I'm starting to think it's time for more direct action. I wonder how you get into the school kitchens. No idea. Ask Fred and George, said Harry. Hermione lapsed into thoughtful silence while Harry drank his butterbeer, watching all the people in the pub. All of them looked cheerful and relaxed. Ernie Macmillan and Hannah Abbott were swapping chocolate frog cards at a nearby table, both of them sporting Support Cedric Diggory badges on their cloaks. Right over by the door, he saw Cho and a large group of her Ravenclaw friends. She wasn't wearing a Cedric badge, though. This cheered up Harry very slightly. What wouldn't he have given to be one of these people, sitting around and laughing and talking, with nothing to worry about homework? He imagined how it would have felt to be here if his name hadn't come out of the Goblet of Fire. He wouldn't be wearing the invisibility cloak, for one thing. Ron would be sitting with him. The three of them would be probably happily imagining what deadly dangerous task the school champions would be facing on Tuesday. He had been looking forward to it, watching them do whatever it was, cheering on Cedric with everyone else, safe in a seat at the back of the stands. He wondered how the other champions were feeling. Every time he had seen Cedric lately, he had been surrounded by admirers and looking nervous but excited. Oh, I'm sleepy. Good night, kids. I'll see you tomorrow. I love you very, very much. Can't wait to give you hugs.